Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome back to the Christmas campaign with our little Christmas fort, complete with our Santa Scarbrand. In today's episode, we are going to continue to fortify until we are finally attacked by the enemy. Currently, we have our confetti cannon, we have two of the starter cram cannons, and of course, we have Santa Scarbrand himself, which has been upgraded quite significantly since the last video. It only took around about 10 minutes, but we have almost doubled the firepower of our little heavily armoured Santa. So now with these two very hastily built arms, we have two particle cannon lines all going to the cannon, currently at the base of the Santa. And of course this means we can fire several particles from each of these beams, because how these work is that these are the pipe lenses, which, unlike the main weapon itself, if we go over here to the particle cannon, we can see that it fires two shots rather than just one. Each of the shots do half the damage a normal shot would do, but again, it shoots twice. The idea being these are a little bit more rapid fire as well, so they should provide a pretty good defense against faster enemies. The one in the middle should be good enough to obliterate even the larger targets. So I've also added some shields, some heavy armor around the base, so it feels like we should be able to protect ourselves against all but the most fearsome opponents. What I'm going to do now is add a couple of control blocks so that these shields turn off when there are no enemies around, thus saving us the materials needed to keep the steam engine constantly powered up. Although I do think I will have to make the steam engine a little bit bigger in the future, since we are going quite expensive into our power needs. Something's just occurred to me. I'm currently repainting the Santa a little bit so it looks a little bit more balanced in terms of the colours, and I've just realised that this Santa can be detached from the main base and added to a hovercraft at a moment's notice. So when we go on the offensive, the first thing we should build is just a hovercraft with a very, very powerful engine inside of it, which can of course then ferry this very evil-looking Santa around to destroy those who would try to destroy Christmas in this world, allowing Santa to enact his horrible vengeance all over the world. I think that's a pretty good idea, actually, and a very simple one. Yay for Santa. Since right now all we have is our main building, I've decided what we need to do is add a couple of other vehicles to our defense force so that the enemy does not instantly focus on the building and only focus on the building. So what I'm going to do is build a couple of different craft which should hopefully distract the enemies in the case of a fight. So the first thing I'm building is this tiny little aircraft which should be fairly quick and should be decently hard to hit. I'm not going to be using a PID system because I want this to be a little bit more random in its flight patterns and a little bit more difficult to actually get good aim against. So we need a lot of turning potential. I want it to be able to turn very, very sharply, and then I need to figure out what type of weapon we're going to use. Either a very small caliber advanced cannon, or, of course, missiles. Missiles would probably be the best on this craft, since I do want to keep the weight down, and all of the other weapon types are a little bit larger. Well, it may not be the best option, but it's certainly going to be the more interesting one. We're going to go with very low-gauge advanced cannons. Now, I'll probably want around about 60mm shells, which means I am going to have to add quite a few gauge increases, since I do also want 6 barrels. Or maybe we should go down to perhaps only 3. We don't really have all that much space on the inside anyway, so getting that much fire rate would probably be quite difficult. Although we will use belt-fed loaders. Let's just see. According to my recording software, this may be one of the fastest flyers I've ever built. This has only taken me 4.5 minutes, so I'm a little bit proud of that, if nothing else. Not sure how well it's going to do, though. So let's just change a couple of things, like so, and please work. How high are you meant to get? Okay. Currently at 112. All I need now is to add some jet stabilizers, and I think this may work, although the turning is nowhere near sharp enough, because of course these barrels are getting in the way, which I completely forgot about. So go back to floating, and I'll add some thrusters at the back instead, and just make this regular armor, and then I think you'll be good to go. We even have advanced cannons, shooting armor-piercing rounds, which may do well, may do badly, depends on the enemies. 85 meters per second and a really erratic movement cycle. This should be very difficult to hit by pretty much everything. Even anti-air should have at least some trouble with this movement style, which of course is very, very similar to the flying squirrels, although not quite as insane as that, because honestly the flying squirrel is just a perfect example of something which is really hard to hit. The only problem I do have is I don't think we're going to have enough time to attack the enemy. Because of how fast we're going and because of how little time we're going to be facing them directly, I'm not sure if these advanced cannons will be good enough. Maybe cram cannons might be better, since they are more of a one-off kind of shot. I don't know just yet. We'll have to see it in combat before I really figure out if this is a good build or a very, very bad speed build. On the upside, it's fast. Well, there we are. I've just made myself a little antenna which is going to float here nicely with these balloons, so let's have a quick look-see what the map looks like around us. Well, not all that much. I think it would be best if we saved up and made a proper satellite fairly soon, but at least this will give us some warning, and apparently it is still going up. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see how high it can get, and then we'll take it out of play, and we can move it around, so that we can see what's to the left and what's to the right of us. Still waiting to be attacked, but at least we do have our aircraft finished now. I think it's going to be okay. Maybe. Well, here's something weird. We are currently over on the Eastern Resource Zone, and it turns out that this resource zone isn't even being protected. So I quickly ran over here on my flyer, jumped off, and built this, which is one of the cheapest and nastiest little resource harvesters ever. It's technically a fortress, and it's harvesting resource at a very, very slow rate. The reason why I'm just building this and leaving it is because I don't really have the power to currently defend this area, and this resource zone only replenishes at 1 per second, even at its fastest, which means if we harvest any faster than that, once it reaches 0 material, there's absolutely no point in it. But with that said, I may add a second RTG just to increase the engine power a little bit. Maybe a bit faster than this would be beneficial, so I'll just wait along until we have 750 resource, and then I will leave this to float here and mine to its heart's content. The first battle of the Christmas campaign at long last, and sadly it was because of my own mistake. I allowed the satellite to slowly meander past this black line in the water, which caused the enemies to attack me in defense. Now thankfully this tile is apparently only strength 16, so I can only imagine it won't be the strongest of forces. So against us we have a gorilla snowman, and we have the exact same. So they're both technically flyers, although their max altitude is only 24, which is a little bit odd. I can only assume perhaps they're hovercraft. That's the only thing I can think of. And I'm still surprised we haven't been attacked yet. We're definitely on 200% speed in terms of the enemy reinforcements. Perhaps we just have a very long grace period in this particular campaign. I really don't know. The battle has begun versus the two snowmen, which honestly, I wasn't expecting this, but that looks absolutely amazing. The nose is actually a cannon. Now, I don't think it can fire, because I believe that's an ammo input at the end, but they've used cannon pieces for the nose, they've used munition warners for the two top sections here, or perhaps they're laser warners, one of the two, and then they have the Santa hats, which look amazing using glass. That's a really, really cool design, and of course we have the gun. I have no idea what they're firing, and I think that is an advanced cannon. I think it's probably the top one which is functional. It's a little bit hard to tell. Yep, definitely the top one which is functional, and I think the arms are a turret. So let's just begin. Good luck to my little aircraft. Here come the shells. Okay, a small internal explosion on this one. What type of shell is green? Is that flak? Or frag? Another small internal explosion. Doesn't seem like they can aim fast enough to counter my aircraft. Doing its little dance as well in the air. Not quite as erratic as it used to be, which is kind of sad, honestly. Very slow shells. The only time they can possibly catch me is when I'm going directly towards them, or directly away. Like now. Okay, we're fine. Both shots missed. Well, the shells are definitely working okay, considering the extremely slow fire rate. The idea is, this is to counter other small craft. Very fast-moving shells, with a very high armor-piercing value and a high kinetic value. It does have a shield. That's actually countering it quite well. As long as we don't hit the shield, we're doing quite a bit of damage. May need to increase the fire rate, though. The reason why it's so slow is because I've decided not to go with belt-fed loaders, but instead go with regular loaders, which of course are slower, but far more reliable. I'm just waiting to be hit, because as soon as we're hit, we're basically dead. Okay, just keep on countering it. You've almost sawn off his little hat. Ooh, what's that inside? Oh look, a little IR camera. That's cute. We're doing okay. We're still doing okay. That fire rate was okay, but now it's reloading. It simply needs more auto-loaders. That's definitely the problem. It's not the cooldown of the barrels. Very limited space. Couldn't really put quite as much as I wanted to into this craft without making it too expensive. It's currently around about 4,500 resource, and even that is more than I originally wanted. A couple of explosions there on the inside of the enemy. It seems like this may go on for quite some time. But if we win, then we've beaten an enemy just using our little flyer. Okay, one very good hit, and the inside seemed to have detonated, or the weapon has detonated. So it seems like these shells are actually fragment shells, because a lot of fragments came out and it really lagged out the game. So I don't even know if I'll actually have any footage of the explosion, which is very, very annoying. The enemy are using my one weakness: lag. This is kind of sad. I feel quite bad for the snowmen here. Though if they are truly fragment shells, one good hit will do a lot of damage to us. I do wonder if they've got a fuse. If they have a fuse, then that shield at the front is useless. The flyer definitely does a fair bit of damage when it actually hits the target, but it's just not... it's not lining up against the enemy enough. That's the problem. So I think I may have to do is make it so the aircraft goes out a little bit further before turning around. It's currently looping after 700 meters. I think perhaps moving it to 1,200 or something like that may make it a bit more effective. Oh dear, that one seems to be sinking. The attack distance has now been massively increased. Oh, that's so horrible. So hopefully now it should turn around far, far further away and then be able to shoot a little bit more. That looks better. It can volley until the autoloaders need to reload. That's a little bit annoying, but this time it did get 2 volleys in rather than 1, and the first enemy is AI dead. So let's jump off, and let's try to capture it. Also, can I just say, that was the most perfect jump I've ever done in this game. And it's captured! We have the snowman! The snowman is ours! Okay, let's stop preparing this, though. I'm going to just jump off, and I'm going to take this out of combat. Yes, there we are. And then I'll jump on board our aircraft yet again. Oh, we just got hit. Okay, we just got hit. That was definitely fragments. Okay, it's took out a couple of autoloaders. It took out a little bit more. Where did it actually hit? It hit the side. I think it hit somewhere around here. Both guns are still online, so that's good. They still have shells, I'm assuming. Yep, okay. Can't quite tell where it actually... Okay, hit there, and then broke off all this section. That did way less damage than I originally thought. Yep, still on regular difficulty, just... Apparently the fragment shells aren't that powerful. Also, I've just realised, this aircraft doesn't have target prioritization or aim point selection, so we're currently not going for the enemy's AI. That's a bit silly, and will be fixed after this fight. Just missing. And... just missing again. The battle is now going on to minute 17, and a few things I found out. First of all, this craft needs more ammo. There is an issue of shell starvation for the autoloaders. The second thing, we do still need more autoloaders. So what I think we're going to have to do, if we want to keep this in any way the same, which I actually do, is we need more autoloaders and we need to stock up on ammunition. If we do both of these, we're going to be more vulnerable, even more so than we are already, but we should be able to do more burst damage on the way in, and still be the distraction the flyer was built to be in the first place. It really doesn't help that this enemy has a shield, which is in the perfect place to be really, really annoying, as you can see. Really not helping there. Finally, the enemy has died, the battle is finally over, so now we can go back and prepare for the enemy to eventually attack us, if they ever do. And if they don't, I'm going to make more aircraft, and I'm going to send them against the enemy, hopefully after improving the aircraft a fair bit. Time to increase the ammunition. Let's see if this works. We're going to have belt-fed autoloaders on a very, very low time before reload setting. The idea is that should help me out during the firing stage, and then when we go off and turn around to come back, we should then be able to reload during that stage, and then fire again. The rest of the autoloaders are still regular autoloaders, we've simply added 2 belt-fed into each weapon. This is becoming more and more unstable looking and more frail as we add more weaponry and have to sacrifice even more armor. But I guess that's the whole purpose of them, to be a big distraction, and a lot of... that was weird. A lot of target prioritizations do tend to go for very high amounts of weapons and very high amounts of propulsion. We have both. Hopefully this will work. A bit dark, but let's do some testing. Okay, fire! Okay, that's much better, a consistent fire rate. Although, it looks like I could probably even increase the fire rate a little bit if I just added a couple more cooling sections. But I don't think I will. I quite like that. The shells are damaging enough, and as we can see from the previous battle, when they hit the right place, they can be absolutely deadly, going straight through at least 2 pieces of armor. So I think I will leave it as it is. I may add 1 more belt-fed autoloader, but I think this is as best as I'm going to get, unless I want this to be way more expensive than it currently is. It's a cheap suicide drone, and that's all it's meant to be. Another small fight, this one to test out our flyers. So apparently we are fighting against the North Star, which sadly does have a lot of shields, and apparently a lot of missiles. If those missiles hit, we will most likely be killed if they are fragment, which they are in addition to EMP. We are quite small flyers, which means everything's in a very, very compact section, so anything that goes through the center will detonate everything. And of course, sadly, our shells will be deflected. Although I have increased how much kinetic damage is on the shells, I have replaced a lot of their stuff so they are slower and more effective shields. But even so, continue. Okay, a couple of shells have got straight through, sending it into a spin, which is very cool, by the way. Missiles going after that flyer and successfully taking it out, along with that one, along with me. So 2 of the flyers instantly removed via missiles. We really need to add flares to these things, or be in fights in which we can have a flare-wielding ally, such as our fortress. How much was that star worth? Okay, so it seems like even if we lost the last flyer, that would have been a pretty even fight. I think what we need to do is capture it. Okay, jump on. So as we fly past, I can simply jump into the water and jump onto the star. And what else I can do is hold on to the guns so they can't fire until I am actually, well, simply jumping. This is very rocky and making me feel a little bit ill. Goodbye. We are at the North Star, so on the left-hand spike, all we have is the engines. On the southern spike, we have fuel and pretty much nothing else. Over here, more engines. Okay. Still haven't seen the AI, though. So on the top spike, there it is. Okay, so it'd be best if we jumped off and then attacked there. Oh, I'm in a really bad place right now. Let's try and get out without glitching, please. Come on, just let me out. Oh. He was on top of me. I'm blind. There it is. And the North Star is ours, which means it's ours to scrap. So, North Star, you are going to be destroyed straight away, and my flyer's going to go on over and grab your remains so that we can repair our flyers.
Moving out.
The flyers are doing okay. The weapons were better. Still need some improvement, though. And still waiting to be attacked. Still on ×2. We found a brand new resource zone. Now sadly, this one does not have an unlimited supply, but it does have a very quick growth factor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my 3 flyers once more into a battle and see if we can defeat this strength 38 defending it. Most likely we will die here, since the last fight we lost 2 out of 3, and that was only a strength 18. But even so, this will at least show me some new units. In the next episode, what I'm most likely going to do is build a hovercraft so that we can put our Scarbrand Santa onto it, and then we are simply going to go south until we find some more enemies. Because right now it really seems like we don't actually get attacked from the enemy. So, a bit of a waste of time, but at least most of that time I wasted was put into the Scarbrand Santa, which we can move with us with a new hovercraft. So, I'll be back in a second when the battle begins.
Moving out.
Okay, into a battle we go, and we are against Mecha Nick Mark II. So, I'm thinking we're about to fight a robotic Santa. Okay, Saint Nick, let's see what your weapons are like then. I'm actually hoping we lose here, because I really want to make other craft, but these are just working right now, so let's see how it goes. And of course, let's put them all in combat mode, they already are. Pause time, let's have a quick look-see at the enemy before we get straight into the fighting itself. So, there is, oh wow, a really creepy St. Nicholas. It has a cannon for a belt. It has, I believe, 2 cram cannons, which are sub-objects, actually. Yep, definitely, so those count as separate vehicles, I think. Let's have a quick look inside. It's hard to do that when you're moving so quickly. I don't know, I think it is anyway. It has tiny little boots, and of course, missiles in its mouth, because why not? Everything has shields in this. Oh, one of the cram cannons just detonated, and so did one of our flyers. Yeah, these flyers are not very good. Okay, second flyer down. This one is under attack heavily. And I think it's already in a spin. That's not good in the slightest. In fact, it's lost its chair, or at least it had lost its chair until just now. Come on, repair yourself already. How have you lost control so badly? There we are. Nope, still lost. Oh no. No, no, no. Okay, one missile hit but didn't kill us. We're back to spinning, and incoming the rest of the missiles. I have been hurt, and the flyer goes down. Yeah, we didn't stand a chance. Though, to be fair, this is a 90,000 resource target. These are 5,000 each. We really should have lost. But I do need to work on those cannons. The problem is, when you're not using the sandbox mode to build, it's hard to test things, because in sandbox, you can keep on spawning enemies and keep on testing it out. Apparently, the head was also a sub-object. A sub-vehicle, I should say. Okay then, well, with that, I'm afraid I am all out of time for today's episode. If you have enjoyed, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. In the next episode, hopefully, this enemy will be attacking our base, so we can have the base versus the evil Santa. Or at very least, we're going to put our version of Santa onto a hovercraft and send it along, and then maybe build another vehicle. I'm not too sure just yet. These flyers were a nice experiment, but I don't think the 100mm cannon will really work unless we dedicate a lot of expense to it, so that's just my fault and a bit of experimentation not gone particularly well. My speech still isn't all that great, and there's a group over there. I think, no, I haven't spawned that in, that's not a defending group. That is coming towards my base. So in the next episode, we will finally be defending. It took them long enough, so thank you for watching again, and goodbye.